1 Kings chapter 18, verse 41 says, and Elijah said to Ahab, go eat and drink, for there is a sound of a heavy rain. You may be seated. Go and eat, for there's a sound of heavy rain. I want to talk this morning from the message from these series of sermons from 1 Kings. I want to talk about the prescription for rain. The prescription for rain. It was on last Sunday that the Lord gave us the message entitled The Prescription for Fire. And this Sunday he says, well, if you're going to give them fire, I guess you need to give them some rain. And so today, as we look at this pericope found in 1 Kings chapter 18, we discovered last Sunday that God was somewhat tired and frustrated and discouraged at the people of Israel because of their rebellious ways, because they wanted to follow after the god Baal, which was known as the rain god. Dig deep in this pericope, you will discover that Baal was the kind of god that they assumed that could produce the rain for the people. And God had to show Israel, as well as the worshipers of Baal, who God really was. We realize that the Lord took us from chapter 17. As we looked at the beginning of chapter 17, we discovered that God told the preacher to go and tell Ahab that he was going to dry up the land, that he would cause heaven to be dry for 3 years and 6 months, that there would be no rain, no dew, no moisture in the sky or on the land, that God was going to dry things up. We discovered that in chapter 17, that it was 3 years and 6 months in that one chapter, how God was holding back the rain, because you see, when God gets mad, things begins to dry up. You begin to look at how God allowed that particular city, that particular nation to experience His wrath. And sometimes we take the very blessings of God for granted. And whenever God grants unto us some stuff, many times we take it for granted. Just a drop of rain. For 3 years, He did not even give them a drop, because there was no drop. We discovered that the humans were decaying and drying up. That things began to look bleak and blistering and be withered. Things became dehumidified and dehydrated and drained, polluted, and discouraged. And when we look at what happened to those people there in chapter 17, and even at the beginning of chapter 18, that things look dark because the Lord had gotten sick and tired of the children of Israel trying to have two gods. So we got to the middle of chapter 18, that when Elijah shows up in 18, and we discover that he says, the Lord says, now I'm going to show you who's God. And He gave us a prescription for a fire last week, as He begins to share with us that if you want fire from God, not even the rain yet, if you want the fire from God, you have to follow His prescription. And He says that first, you need to make up your mind who you're going to serve. Because see, you cannot serve the devil and the Lord. You cannot be a Christian just on Sunday and a devil on Monday. He says that you got to make up your mind. Somehow how to make up your mind. So He gave us the prescription for fire. He gave us 3 things. He says, first, you got to make up your mind. He says, how long you be between two opinions? You can't be in the church and out the church. You can't You can't be all this kind of stuff and say you're a child. But he said, nevertheless, if you want to fight for God, you've got to make up your mind. Secondly, he says, you've got to, even while you make up your mind, you have to, secondly, learn how to stand alone, because this journey is a lonely journey. Sometimes you think other people will go with you because you're trying to stand for God. But no, many times when you stand for God, you have to sometimes stand alone. It's a lonely journey. There's Elijah standing all by himself at the beginning of chapter 18 as he waits